And we're live. Hi there, this is Amy with Paper House, and this is our Facebook Thursday Night Live, Paper House at Home. And we are here with Haley, who is part of our creative team. And she is going to talk to us about planning, but specifically planning with a self-care, mental health focus. So Haley has been on our creative team for under a year. She joined on our most recent call. So I think it was like in the end of summer, beginning of fall, something like that. So we're very excited to have you tonight. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Excellent. So I'm going to turn it over to you, and you can tell us, some more about yourself, how you got started on your planning journey, and how long you've been planning, and how you decided to, focus specifically on mental health and self-care.
For sure. So for those who don't know me, my name's Haley. I have been a planner, I feel like, since I was born, if that's even possible. I've always been a type A person, always had a paper planner. I was like the dork in school that loved getting the agenda with a picture of our school on the front. Like, that was me, to a T. Yeah, I always loved agendas and writing stuff down. So pen and paper has always been my jam. My parents are old school too, so maybe just being brought up that way. I just am a very visual learner, so pen to paper is always good for me. I didn't start like decorative planning until I graduated college. So that was 2014. And I guess I stumbled upon decorative planning by accident. And it was one of those situations where I was trying to juggle like my new adulting life, whatever that is, post-grad. So I was new to a job in translation. I was working as a Spanish translator in New Jersey, where I grew up. And I was trying to juggle having a new apartment and a social life and trying to meet new people and still, stay kind of grounded with my finances and stay on top of doctor's appointments. And oh my gosh, now I'm on my own health insurance. Like all these like shifts that you don't really think about, but it kind of like hits you all at once once you're out of that college bubble.
Right.
And I think that for me, it was a perfect way to sort of combine two hobbies. I was able to not only stay organized, which I always cared a lot about, but it became like a sort of art therapy for me. And that hobby stemmed from my history with mental health. So during my college years, I was taken out of college on an emergency medical leave. I went to intensive treatment for anorexia, on and off for 3 years. And that initially was not by choice, but turned into the best decision my parents could have possibly made for me, and something that I'm certainly privileged to have been able to access, which I don't know that I necessarily realized at the time.
Right.
But part of that treatment was always art therapy. So I really started loving just the idea of putting things on paper, putting my emotions on paper, my goals, my dreams, my identity, anything and everything. I loved being able to represent it visually. So as my schedule became more packed after college, I think decorative planning, I was like, aha, I can and I can do art therapy.
I can make pretty things. Right.
Yeah. And I had always been an artsy kid, but I dropped it in favor of academics, I guess. just growing up, I loved painting and all that stuff. So it was a really fun way for me to kind of re-enter that Haley that I used to be and kind of find a balance. However, my introduction to the planner world also came with the realization that a lot of planner people are type A people.
Yeah.
And a lot of pictures that we see on Instagram or, just online, whether it's Pinterest or YouTube videos or whatever, there was a lot of perfectionism that I was seeing. A lot of planning that essentially conflicted with everything I was learning in treatment for anorexia. And that was the idea that I didn't have to check all the boxes. Imperfect was
have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Fine. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Because I think for so long, my planners were just checklists upon checklists. Right. And don't get me wrong, they were beautiful. I had fun doing them, but I think that I reached a point where if you're only planning with checklists, for me, and this obviously differs from person to person, but if you're only planning with a checklist, it becomes really easy to link your self-worth to whether or not those check boxes are marked off by the end of the day or the week or the month.
Yeah.
And that was something toxic for me.
I can relate to that. I use a bullet journal. I'm a bullet journaler, and this is specifically for work. And I actually I'm taking a half day tomorrow. My son is graduating from high school, so I'm working from home and taking half day. And so I have this is very specific to last Friday. I had a list of things to do. It was like a double checklist of things to do. And I got 3 things done last Friday. So I put this sticker here that says, it's okay not to do it all. And I have to remind myself that just because I only got 3 of those things done doesn't mean that I didn't do a ton of other stuff that day.
It's so true.
It'll get done eventually. And I spent the week trying to get a bunch of them done. And I got some more things done. I didn't get them all done, but I got them done. But you're right in that if you make a checklist, it's all about how productive you are being.
Are you being busy or productive? That kind of thing.
Or busy, exactly.
Right. And are you tying yourself to that? Is your identity wrapped up in getting it done? Are you enjoying it?
I totally get that. So the next day I wrote all those things.
Yep. Please see above.
And then the next day I was like, all the things, because I still hadn't gotten them done. And I was like, it's okay.
Exactly. That's life, right?
It's okay.
And I guess that's kind of how my engagement in the planner community started growing and growing, was just showing people my messy spreads.
Right.
And starting to say hey guys, didn't do any of that. Actually, that whole habit tracker is blank.
Right. I love to see when people do that. I love to see when people post that went belly up.
Exactly.
Because then I know, okay, it's not just me, it's everybody. Everybody gets sidetracked with other things. People are on vacation.
And it's that authenticity. I think people relate to that. People need that.
Right.
We see so many perfect marketing images out there.
Right.
When we see our friends posting, we don't need it to be perfectly curated and representing a life that doesn't seem realistic for us. I know for me, I didn't see anyone posting therapy stickers, and I was like, well, I know I can write it in, but still, it's the point of it.
Right.
I know I'm not the only one going to therapy. Where are all the therapy stickers?
And I feel like
that's thrilled when Paper House came out with all the mental health stuff.
I feel like over the past year and a half or so, and probably a lot of it has to do with people coping with COVID, is it's become acceptable to be in therapy. Not that it wasn't acceptable before, but it's like people aren't so freaked out about mentioning, well, I'm in therapy, or I have to go to therapy, or
It's a little less taboo.
right. Yes, it is less taboo.
Yeah.
It's still, I'm sure, it's
Yeah,
definitely
and
taboo.
I think when I started I started going to therapy in 2012, and I would say no, like I remember when I came back from my semester off, I gave a speech to the incoming freshman class about my experiences, both at college and in recovery and going to treatment. And it was a part of a program that kind of just iterated to the incoming class that everybody's got something. Everyone's going through stuff. Everyone has their story, and you're all welcome here. Like, welcome aboard. It's a big, messy party. So I shared that story, and I remember people think, you're so brave to mention therapy. And I remember being like, well, it saved my life. So
Right.
to not mention
really
it.
Great.
Platform to mention it. I'm going to because
Where did you go to school?
I went to Colgate University.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. My son really wanted to get into Colgate. But of course, this was the year that everybody and their brother and sister and cousin applied to colleges, because everybody, they held off a year. So like twice as many people applied. So he considered it a safety school.
Oh, yeah. That's so hard too. And it's becoming like crazy competitive. I'm glad I don't have to apply now. Jeez.
It's good to know that they've got that kind of they had that kind of program years ago that, they would have you talk to the incoming freshmen about something like that, about self-care and mental health, and it's okay to not be okay.
That's exactly. Great. And I think that's kind of the basis of self-care from my perspective. Was I didn't ever hear the word self-care until I was in intensive treatment.
Right.
And that didn't sit right with me. And that's kind of what fuels me going forward with just sharing my story and, just spewing out mental health facts to anyone who will listen.
Listen to me.
Why did I not learn about self-love, like that I was allowed to love myself until I was in critical condition?
Right.
And that's sad. So making self-care accessible on very basic levels is something that anyone can do. And, companies like Paper House are doing. And it's so cool because to me, those are resources that weren't available that were huge. That was a huge game changer for me to realize, I actually need to focus on my physical health. My job right now is not schoolwork. It's not acing the exams. It's meeting my meal plan, because if I don't do that, my brain's not going to function. And then I can't do the emotional and the down therapy work. Right. So it's all connected, and it's all about, just tuning into yourself. I think that's the hard part too, is life goes so fast.
Right.
And maybe that's why more people are in therapy after COVID, just with everything stopping, your thoughts get louder, I think.
Exactly. I have been to therapy in the past. I'm not going to therapy right now, but I've absolutely been through it. I am a proponent of it. And, I even talk to occasionally, I'll say to my husband, do you want to go talk to somebody? Because, he's an introvert, and this COVID thing has been, it's hard to be.
Hard on so many people.
It's just hard. The whole thing has just been
all the way around.
Yeah. And he's like, no, I'll just talk to you, which is fine. But I'm also one of those, I'm a solver. So if you tell me something that's going on, I'm gonna try and solve it. I'm not necessarily just gonna listen.
You're not gonna listen. Yeah.
Which is bad because, sometimes people just want to vent.
Like, because you're a place of care, right? But
I just wanted to vent. I wasn't trying to get you to solve my problem. I'm like, sorry, that's my love language, I guess.
Yes, there you go.
But so show us how you, when you're planning, how you're going through and you're saying, obviously you're going to plug in whenever you have therapy and things like that, but also how do you plan your self-care?
Okay, so my biggest tip, I will say, came in the form of a planner that sat on my floor in the box for months. I was so afraid to ruin it. And that is the perfectionist in me. One night I just started watercoloring all the weeks that I had just missed because I was too afraid to write in it. That is one of my favorite quotes. Not all storms come to disrupt your life. Some come to clear your path.
Very nice.
I just started art therapying messy, and it was getting saturated, and I did it on live Instagram, and people were so upset with me. They were, "Oh, you're ruining your planner." I was like, "No,
you can do whatever you want."
What's a planner if I'm not using it for what I need?
Right.
So I think that a big thing for me has been medication. So I use these guys all the time. I think it depends. Medication for me is really the only tracker that I try to stick to 110%, which sounds counterintuitive, but for me, it makes more sense to try to notice patterns, I guess. So if, right now in my, I have a journal next to my bed. I mark down every single night, whether I journal before bed, what time I get to bed, trying to notice, I think the trends in your life is way easier when they're written down.
Right.
And for me, sometimes the 7-day-a-week tracker becomes hell, come on, you didn't get it. You were on by one day, but that's not always the goal. And I think the big takeaway for me, I guess, was that your self-care planning changes. If that makes sense.
Well, it'll depend on what you need that week.
Right. And listening to yourself. So naturally, if your circumstances change, your planner is not going to look the same.
Right.
For self-care, it shouldn't. That's not self-care. If you're doing the same gym workout every single week, that's not self-care.
Right. It's just a habit.
Right. So I will share my itty bitty breakdown. Here we go. So I try to break down self-care into 5 different components because I think it's much easier to conceptualize and put into action. So the first sector of self-care being physical self-care, and that's things like personal hygiene. Are you showering? Are you sleeping? Are you taking your medications? Are you eating? Are you moving your body? Things like that. And the rest of this means nothing until that is prioritized. Okay. So that's why I always, encourage people. People are all about the avocado toast and the face mask. My goodness, if I see one more article about that, because it's so frustrating to me, I'm like, yes, that can be self-care. But if you haven't slept for 8 hours, if you're not hydrating, which thank goodness, hydration trackers are a thing. Yep. If you're not going to your therapy appointments, none of that, taking a bubble bath is not going to help. You're not addressing the root problem. So if once you address your physiological needs, then you're able to focus on the other sectors like emotional self-care. So things like awareness of your feelings, being able to name them. So that comes in the form of things like mood trackers, self-love. So I love doing like vision boards and stuff. I love, just creating even like little self-love collages from time to time. These are the like, what stickers are these? The micro.
Oh, I love those. They're so pretty. That is beautiful.
So I'll like, I'll just kind of, and these are the.
Oh, that's in the book. That's in the
yeah, this one.
Donna's book. Yes,
yeah, I love her stuff.
I pulled that book out a couple weeks ago, and I'm like,
just look
I'm all about the happy vibes in this book.
Lemonade, like, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like self-love, like this is all emotional self-care, like me sitting down to actually think about like, okay, maybe I had a terrible day, but my nephew says I'm pretty funny. Also, I'm recovered from an eating disorder, and I think I spew out flowers days when I'm happy. So,
that's great.
So that's the emotional self-care, managing your stress. Spiritual comes down to religion and beliefs, but also like your sense of purpose. And I think that's big on like goal setting. I notice like a lot of times I've been like hoarding this sticker like crazy because I love it so much. I don't know if you can read it in the like with the glare.
The one that says happiness.
Make your happiness a priority.
Yeah.
And man, like I think that as strange as it sounds, learning to prioritize your self-care is part of that spiritual self-care, like learning the boundaries and the ability to say like, no, that actually doesn't fit in with my goals right now. My goal is to be me and to survive and to be happy and to feel fulfilled at the end of the day.
Right.
So it's like, I love reminders like that like your priority has to be you, and there's nothing selfish about it. There's, at the end of the day, like if you don't have a purpose, you're not serving other people. And
I feel like when I was
your values, you're not helping other people.
I feel like when I was like in my 20s, I would always hear people say things like, well, you have to love yourself first before other people can love you.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good and all, but how? Do you know what I mean? It comes down to the how. And you can say that all the time.
It's this mystical like self. People are, so confused. What's self-love? What's self-care? What's self-acceptance? Self-respect? Self-worth? Are they all the same thing? Somebody help! Like self-care. I always just try to remind people is at its very basics, just taking intentional action to improve your health.
Right.
And that could be in any of these sectors, right? So it could be social, like going out and meeting new people. That could be very healthy for you. If you're experiencing loneliness, like that's giant. But if you're depressed and you haven't eaten or showered in a few days, you got to prioritize that first.
Right.
So I think it all does become a little bit skewed, especially with the media. I think it's tough. It's become glamorized. People love.
And you said the thing about the bubble bath before, like, okay. And I do that too. Like, I'm going to do a face mask today and I'm going to take care of me. And that's great and all.
Yeah.
But that's not really self-care. Self-care also involves, after you wash the face mask off your face, not looking at everything that's wrong with your face. And I know that.
True. Oh, it's so true.
That, but you still can't help yourself. You're like, oh my God, look at those wrinkles. Like, oh, the gray hairs are coming in, or whatever.
Mantras are like a big part of my recovery, and a big part of my journey of self-love was just almost fake it till you make it. a lot of them actually were on, shoot, do I have it? The washi tape that Nicole
in the self-care, yes.
That she designed. So a lot of her affirmations on here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to see them.
They're very pale. They're very hard to
so
read.
Pale, yeah, but it's clear to me, but I don't know that it would be clear to anyone.
Yeah, but they're definitely some really good things. Just like
your feelings are valid.
You're
stronger than you think.
Yes.
It's okay to not be okay. Like
yep.
Those kinds of things. I had Post-it notes on my mirror there are actually still some there from back in 2012 as just reminders to myself, because we can rewire our brains, and I think we forget sometimes how powerful the mind is.
Yes. Agreed.
And yes, it feels stupid to look in the mirror and say, like, I love myself, I'm beautiful. Sure. Okay, well then don't start there. Maybe start with, like, today I'm willing to accept myself.
Right.
That's a beautiful affirmation.
Right.
You don't feel like you're lying to yourself.
I'm only going to do it today. Today's enough. I can do it today.
One step at a time. Right.
But I can
and
do
that's the beauty of affirmations, is they can grow and change with you. And that is hard. I think that's part of like society too, right? Like beauty ideals and all that jazz. But
do you keep a gratitude journal too?
I do, yeah.
Yeah,
I find it really helpful. Even so, my first gratitude journal was, I don't know if you've read The Happiness Project by Gretchen Rubin.
Yes.
Yeah, so she came out with then like a happiness journal, which was just like a 1 line a day for 5 years. And my sister gave me that for Christmas, back in the year I started treatment for my eating disorder. So it was 2012. I made it through all 5 years, and you were literally just writing a few words or a sentence about something that made you happy that day. And looking back on it is a beautiful thing on a rough day. Yeah. But also that just taking the like 35 seconds to reflect and be like, okay, today was the worst. And some days I'll sit there and I'm like, nothing good.
Got nothing good for today.
Nothing. I'm not going to write anything. And I'm like, Haley, stop. Your nephew's voice was so cute when he told you that you were hilarious, you know? So just write it down because you are so grateful for him, you know?
Like, it's funny. I'm definitely not, I was not being consistent about it. And it's one of those things where like, I'll do it and then I stop and then I do it again. I was doing it for a while. Like I would take lunch and I would sit outside in the sun and I would write in my journal, and I would I got to do a page of things that I'm grateful for, which is kind of a lot.
That's a lot.
I think I was too hard on myself.
You're like setting yourself up for failure with that one.
Exactly. And I would be like, okay, well, the cats are cute. You know, the cats. I have a roof over my head.
Yeah. And actually at dinner, my mom has caught on to it too. So, because I always used to tell her, hey, every day may not be good, but there's something good in every day. And my younger sister would get so annoyed, but we started doing it at the dinner table. What was the best part of your day? Right. And we still do it. And that's good. I mean, it's important to kind of reflect on those things, and it's hard sometimes. Like, trust me, I know. Like, it is not easy, but it's a muscle. And I think exercising that muscle of gratitude, not that you're not always going to be happy for the way things are and the way things play out in life, but you could be happy or grateful for
what you do have.
What you do have, or what you have experienced in life, or the things that you have no control over that just exist in the world and are actually pretty cool. Right.
Like it's funny because every once in a while I'm like, I think I'm grateful for engineers because they make things that I would never think about.
Oh, so
that, like, make your life better. Do you know what I mean? It's like
like inventors of like
inventors,
the
exactly.
crazy,
Make stuff.
the littlest things that have been like game changers.
Right. All right.
Yeah,
So let's get back into your planner. So sorry, because we just keep talking. Let's get back into your planner though. So show me. So let's finish. So you were talking about the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual.
All right. So we got the spiritual. We have intellectual. So expansion of knowledge, curiosity, pursuit of growth, and I think that one is like often forgotten because we get caught up in our career being our intellectual part of life, but that's not necessarily always beneficial to your self-care. So I think it's important to kind of break that out separately and think about a new hobby you may want to learn. I recently tried watercoloring. I'm like pretty new to the whole watercolor scene. So I took a little class online, and I'm just experimenting and like allowing myself to have fun with it is like that intellectual self-care, just allowing myself to be a beginner and to not know everything and to throw out, the first few copies. Like that's all fine and well and good. Social self-care with it.
People.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think that it gets overwhelming, right? When you like break down self-care in this way. But I think that what was so groundbreaking for me is that I had to like, for years of my life, focus on medication, my blood pressure, my like vital signs.
Right.
My meal plan, following that to a T.
And those are things you can chart and keep track of in your planner. And then,
when you start to understand self-care on that like fundamental level, at that like that really like nitty-gritty level, you realize how important it is. And you want it for other people because it does like it opens up so many doors to just personal growth. And like it sounds like boring stuff, but I promise it's not.
It's not. You're right. It's absolutely not.
Yeah. So let's see. Let's pull out some plans and see. Okay. So I am a huge fan. This is from you guys.
Oh, those labels. They're so cute.
You put it on one of my packages, and I used it because I was having a bad day and it really made me smile. So I'm like a huge fan of saving little things that just bring me.
That's awesome. Well, that's joy. Okay, so there's two Amy's at Paper House. I don't know if everybody knows that, but there's two Amy's at Paper House. Yes. This is a game changer. And it's funny because we like to tell people we've actually known each other since we were 12.
Really?
We went to high school together. We met in seventh grade, and now we work together. So Amy McClure is the one that she pulls all the retail orders. She puts the notes in the orders and sets up the packages and all that good stuff.
Amy.
Yes.
My goodness.
Yeah. So now, so there's two of us.
Yeah. So, little things like that. And like this, I guess I would use as like another example, on just how I can make mornings with depression like a little more manageable, almost like a little visual checklist for myself. I have like take your meds, meditate, the fork and
make sure you eat, have your
light therapy in. And I guess this is kind of what I was talking about with trackers. Like I don't aim for 100% perfection, and maybe that's wrong. Maybe that doesn't work for everybody.
There's that.
Maybe I want to journal just 5 days a week.
Right. There's that setting yourself up for failure. Like if I'm going to do a gratitude journal, it'd be silly to
A whole
do
page a day.
every single line on that page. Maybe
Yeah,
there's only 5 things. It doesn't have to be 20.
exactly. Yeah. So I think like, I don't know, for me, it's pretty eye-opening for me to see the difference between how I used to plan, which was just very, very,
Your lists.
just very logical and very like, I don't know, structured, which is fine. But also, this is more me, and this allows me, spots to put reminders that it's okay to cry, because who doesn't love that reminder?
Yeah, right.
It allows me to grow more, and I think that's what I love about getting into decorative planning is it allows me to actually practice self-care in a way. Like it reminds me that this is a representation of my life, my planner is, and I'm serving nobody by making it look pretty.
Right. Making it look like
in like a traditional way or whatever.
That's, like be yourself. Everyone else is taken. You have to be that way with your planner. Like, when I first started bullet journaling, I'd look at everyone else's bullet journals and I'd be like, I can make mine look like that. I'm not like that. And then I realized I don't have to. And so, I would sometimes I would plan out a week and I would like make little, okay, so here's like, this is in my softcover journal. So like I would make the week up ahead of time and I would try and fit in all the things that I had to do within that week. But then I realized this is what my life really is.
Yeah.
I was trying to just make it that way. And, sometimes I would have fun with it. Like, hold on, where is it? This one. This was my favorite week. Like I did this and then I watercolored all of it.
Oh, yes. That's like exactly like my other one.
That's how I'm feeling this week.
My friend asked me to open. We were on our way to a planner event, of course, right? And she's like, okay, let me see your planner. Like, I want to see what you've been doing with it. And I was like, oh no, I know she's gonna, what page she's opening to.
Right.
And it, like, my month spread was chaos, like absolute chaos. I just ended up writing almost like a journal, just like
I like that.
A mess. It's like a junk journal, but handwritten. I don't even know what it is. And it's sassy. There are swear words. Like, it's not nice. It's, like it's really messy. Things are like definitely misspelled in here.
Right.
And you know what? Sometimes that's my life, and sometimes it looks a little more organized like this. And that's okay. Like, both of those are fine.
Right.
It's not always pretty, but I think the important part, a big thing for me lately has been doing like bucket lists of different sorts.
Oh, that's sweet.
Just to try to get myself, I guess, out of the house.
So what planner is that? What planner do you use?
So my current planner is the horizontal Erin Condren. And then for my like nighttime reflections, I use the journey, like a traveler's notebook, the journey book.
Okay. Yep.
That which I just didn't bring on camera just because that's more personal in nature.
Right.
And then I use a perpetual planner for my gratitude because I really only need one line. That's just where I'm jotting like every single little thing.
So in general, you have 3 things that you work with on a
and I'll keep
basis.
And then I just keep like a running to-do list of like work type tasks because putting those all in my planner kind of makes me a little uptight.
Right.
Well, sometimes it's like little things like respond to this email, and I'm not gonna like put every single email I have to respond to
Right.
in my planner.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good thing to put on your to-do list because I'm forever like, okay, I got an email yesterday and I read it and then I left it, I marked it unread and I put a star on it. But do you think I've actually dealt with it yet? No.
True. Yeah.
So,
That's
like, I
that's
do
called the
that.
touch it once. Have you heard that? Touch it once
Yes.
rule? Yeah.
Yes. And I also heard something about how this guy figured out the best way to handle all your emails is like to immediately put them into buckets. The minute you look at them, put it in a bucket. Oh, this is something I have to deal with. It goes in the deal with it bucket. If this is something that is just an FYI, throw it in the FYI bucket. Like the first thing you do. And then that FYI bucket, it's just an FYI. It's already gone. It's out of your inbox.
Yeah.
And then you have just I have to deal with this today, or this is part of a project or something like that. And so that it keeps your inbox to 0 as close as possible.
Yeah.
In my personal email, I should open it up. I don't know if I really want to. There's so many emails in here. I have 25,000 emails in my Yahoo inbox.
Oh no. Is it all like stores and stuff too? Like when you
That's just the thing. I was talking to Gretchen, one of my coworkers, and I'm like, I got 45 emails since 8:00 this morning.
None of them
on my
are from
Yahoo. What am I gonna do with all this crap? Anyway.
Well, it's so true, and I think that can be self-care too. Like for me, a big thing is going through and like subscribing and purging and just digital declutter because the temptation to shop can really get you. It does. And it takes up a lot of time to go through all your emails too when you have a lot of things that you maybe just subscribe to because you didn't want to like say no. Yeah. Like as though the CEO of Starbucks is going to be sad that I subscribe. Right, Haley? Come on.
So I wanted to ask you, you're in New Jersey, right?
I am.
Okay. Are you coming to the New York City Planner? Oh, yay. That's right. You actually said that you're going. Excellent. That's very good.
Yes, I will be at the expo in Brooklyn. Yep.
Okay, very good. I don't know if anybody else is watching is going to be at the New York City Planner at Expo, but it's on July 31st in Brooklyn. Very excited. We'll be vending. We're taking pre-orders and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm excited to meet a lot of the people that I've only met online. And then there's also a lot of the ladies that I've met in person before that I haven't seen in 2 years.
Yes, so true.
It'll be nice.
It'll be awesome. And I'm so excited they're doing a mental health panel. So I'll be speaking on that and kind of sharing my story on that. Excellent. And it's awesome to see like how normalized mental health conversations have been and self-care, and especially in the planning community, it's really been embraced at the perfect time, I think. Yeah,
I agree. And like I said, I think, the past year and a half with the pandemic and people spending a lot of time with themselves, making them realize, they've got some stuff they got to deal with and it's okay to deal with it. Yeah. And I think a lot of the fact that now so many appointments are virtual. I feel like that makes it easier for some people to embrace therapy because it's like a phone call as opposed to that idea that I'm going to go to somebody's office and I'm going to lay down on a couch and I'm going to tell my deepest, darkest secrets.
It feels a little more accessible to more people, like from a mental standpoint. Like I'm not committing my whole life to like entering into this treatment center. Like
talk to somebody.
I'm just going to chat with someone for a little bit. Yeah. And that's literally what it is. But we have this idea that it's a velvety couch and we just like lay there and talk about dreams and stuff. But I don't know.
Your mother enjoyed and what you dreamt about last night. So that's funny. I'm not trying to minimize what some people go through. Obviously,
Not at all.
I'm
No.
sure
And
everybody that's been in therapy, their mother has come up.
for sure. Like, I'm pretty sure that's the thing. Definitely proven.
Yeah.
No, you got to laugh sometimes. And that's, humor is self-care too.
Yes, it is.
As long as you're not using it as a negative coping skill, then we're all good.
Right. All right. So is there anything else you want to talk to us about? Anything else you want to show us in your planner? Just like, or are you like feeling like you've shared what you wanted to share?
I feel like there's so much I could share, but it's like, I want to be mindful that everyone starts at a different point with self-care. So I feel like the number one thing that I would like suggest people do is just take inventory. How are you doing? Like mentally, physically, emotionally, like how you doing? Check in with yourself. And maybe it's only 5 minutes. I guarantee you have 5 minutes at the end of your day to just don't even write it down. Sit there and think about how you're doing.
Talk to yourself about, like, put the phone down.
It matters more than you realize. Yeah. And I think my big like message that I would want everyone to take away from just self-care and planning as like a combined forces is that you are in a different situation, living a different life story than every single other person in this world.
Right.
Your healing is not going to be linear. Their healing is not going to be linear. Maybe theirs looks like rainbows and butterflies, but that's not their real planner. That's their Instagram planner. Who knows? Focus on you. You're worth it. You are your longest relationship is with yourself. Be kind to yourself. Like you were saying, affirmations in the mirror. Be kind to yourself. It's makes all the difference in the world. And I think my planner for me is a great place to do that because I'm always looking at it. So it'll remind me like, oh, I am enough. That's right. Stop being mean to yourself.
And for the most part, nobody else is going to look at it. So it's it's like, people might, if someone came across it, they might look in it, but it's not anybody else's story. It's your story.
And it's a safe space for you to grow and express yourself. So if that looks like watercolor all over the pages because you left it sitting there for 3 months, or if that looks like perfectly planned out bullet journal layouts, like there's no right or wrong way to plan. It's about making it work, and it's about prioritizing the things that you need to, especially when it comes to self-care. I guess I always say like you can sit on a rooftop and sip rosé until you're blue in the face, but if you haven't slept and are in a toxic work environment,
and only eat takeout,
are you happy? We got to think about this, and I think it's woken, like the pandemic itself has woken a lot of people up to just lifestyles and our norms and society's norms and like the hustle culture, right? Like it's not all about productivity, and your planner doesn't have to be all about productivity either. Or maybe you have one for productivity and one for
and one for relaxation and fun.
Yes. So I like to combine my spreads just because, like I said, I do then see it during the work day, and I'm like, oh, okay.
I know that's I'm doing that tonight. Yep. Very good. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
If you want to follow Haley, her Instagram handle is, I wrote it down to make sure I had it right, is peel and heal _ planning. I bet Shane will post that up at the bottom there for us.
Yeah, like stickers,
and
like you're healing a wound. Yeah.
Is that right?
There it is, right there.
So check her out. And you'll get to see her spreads. You'll get to see some fun stuff and some really good, like, I find that you'll put some stuff out there like, yep, boom. Okay, I get it. Yeah. I posted something about, was it last week? About you got your COVID shot.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, some people don't want it. Some people do want it.
Also, like, some people do have it and they're still, like, petrified to go out in public. That's okay.
Exactly.
Let's be tolerant, everyone.
Exactly. And I was like, yep, that's a very good point. Because even though everyone in my house has had the shot, we still wear masks when we're out in public.
Yeah, and that's okay. Yeah.
And
different comfort levels. Business. Different stories, different planners, spreads for different folks.
Exactly.
I guess.
Excellent. So thank you so much again. I appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
One thing that we were talking about was we are going to, for the month of July, we're like, we're going to end up June. We've been doing them weekly. And we're going to go to, because, people, it's summer, people want to be out and about and stuff like that. We're going to change this to monthly. And one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to bring on some like make and take type kits. Like we're going to put together some fun little projects that we're going to do, whether it's Shana or someone else doing the project. We're going to make those little kits so people can either use what they have or buy our little, like this paper and this sticker or whatever to go with it. And we're going to make like little projects. So more like just like
interactive sort of.
Like interactive. Yeah. So yeah. So be on the lookout for that.
So fun.
Yeah. So thanks again for joining us. We really appreciate it. And enjoy the rest of your evening and the rest of your week. And we'll talk to you soon. I'll see you on Instagram.
Sounds good. See you there. Messy and imperfect.
All right. Good night.
Good night.